What's the most life-changing phone call you ever received? My ex-girlfriend called me drunk at 1 a.m., crying about how she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. I thought she meant breaking up with me 6 months ago. I was dead wrong. Jake, I need to tell you something, she sobbed through the phone. Remember when you applied for that job at Microsoft? The one you really wanted? The software engineer position? Of course I remembered. I'd spent weeks preparing for that application. Updated my portfolio, practiced coding challenges, even bought a new suit for the interview I never got. When they sent that rejection email saying they'd gone with someone else, I was crushed. I know someone who works in HR there. My friend Emma's boyfriend, Mark. I asked him to make sure your application never made it to the hiring manager. My stomach dropped. I felt like I was going to throw up. What are you talking about, Rachel? I was terrified you'd get the job and move to Seattle. I'd lose you forever. So I manipulated the system. I sabotaged your dream job because I was selfish and scared. I sat there in my crappy studio apartment, staring at my reflection in the black TV screen. That job would have changed everything. $60,000 more a year, stock options, a chance to work on actual products that millions of people use. There's more, she continued, her voice getting smaller. I also told your boss at Giuseppe's that you were actively looking for other work. That's why he started cutting your hours and giving you the worst shifts. 2 years. 2 fucking years of thinking I wasn't good enough. 2 years of believing I'd failed on my own merit, that my code wasn't clean enough, that my experience wasn't relevant enough. I'd even started doubting if I should be in tech at all. I watched you get depressed, she said. I watched you question everything about yourself, and I said nothing because I was too much of a coward to admit what I'd done. I remembered those months after the rejection, how I'd barely left my apartment, how I'd started drinking too much and stopped calling my friends, how I'd convinced myself I wasn't cut out for the big leagues. The worst part is, it didn't even work, Rachel continued. You left me anyway after I started that fight about your lack of ambition. I pushed you away because I felt so guilty. That fight. She'd screamed at me about how I'd given up on my dreams, how I was content to serve pasta forever. I'd thought she was just frustrated with my depression. Now I realized she was projecting her own guilt. I'm moving to Portland tomorrow, she said. I can't face you anymore. I can't live in the same city knowing what I did. But Emma's boyfriend said if you reapply now, he'll make sure it goes through the proper channels this time. I hung up and sat in the dark for 3 hours, processing everything. All those nights I'd stayed awake wondering what was wrong with me. All those times I'd looked at other developers' success stories and felt like a fraud. The next morning, I dug out my old portfolio and started updating it, added the projects I'd been working on during my failure period, polished my GitHub, fixed bugs in my personal website. 3 weeks later, I submitted my application again. This time, I got a call back within 2 days. The hiring manager said my experience was exactly what they were looking for. Had I applied before? Yes, I said. But maybe my application got lost in the system. That happens sometimes, she laughed. Good thing you tried again. The interview went perfectly. They offered me the position with a salary even higher than the original posting. I accepted immediately. I'm writing this from my apartment in Capitol Hill, Seattle. I can see the Space Needle from my window. My code is running on servers that handle millions of requests. I'm happier than I've ever been. Rachel never reached out after that night. I heard through mutual friends that she's doing well in Portland, working at a nonprofit. I don't hate her anymore. In a twisted way, that phone call gave me something I'd lost: belief in myself. Sometimes the worst betrayals force you to discover strength you never knew you had.